If you grew up with an NES, you might remember seeing this game everywhere. It was in every bargain bin, everyone had a friend that owned it, and just about every used game shop had it. But even though it was extremely common, I never knew anyone who could beat it, and even now if you look through walkthroughs or facts, there's still a ton of bad info and bad strategies out there. So what I'm going to do here is show you how this game works and how easy it is to beat. If you know what you're doing, it'll probably take you less time to beat Friday the 13th than it would to watch this video. Let's take a quick look at the basics. You need to beat Jason 3 times over 3 separate days, and at the end you need at least 1 counselor and 1 child alive. The only thing that changes from day to day is the enemy's speed. They don't actually do any extra damage to you, nor do they take any more hits to kill on day 3 than they do on day 1. 2 counselors are worth a damn, Mark and Chrissy. Chrissy doesn't row as fast as Mark does, but everyone else sucks. End of story. There's only one weapon in this game that matters. That's the torch. It kills every enemy in 1 hit except the wolf, and does 1 damage to Jason per hit, which is the most possible. The pitchfork is arguably better at killing regular enemies, but it does no more damage to Jason than the torch does, and you can't get it until day 3 should you choose to fight Jason's mom. So, unless you want it for fun, there's not much point. Now, on to the items. The lighter is used to light fires in the big cabin, which is the very first and very worst instruction the game gives you. You're supposed to do this to get the torch and the flashlight, but the flashlight is literally useless, and you can get a torch a better way. The flashlight's purpose is to light up the cave so you can find the hidden pathways, but in front of every hidden pathway there are chipped rocks, so it's completely useless. You do, however, need a lighter, because keys and knives won't appear until you have one. Why? I don't know. You need keys though, because until you have one you can't go into the cabins in the cave or the woods. How do you get a lighter? You kill a few enemies, typically 3 to 5, and it'll appear where they died. How do you get a key? Items other than the lighter only appear if you jump around. However, both potions and keys have fixed locations where they appear. If you collect them, they don't come back, and there are at least 5 easy to get keys in these spots. This first key is just outside the big house in the cave loop, just to the left of the path of the main loop. This key can be found on the main loop where you can see a wooded area in the background. This one's on the main path, not inside the forest, just to the left of the path into the woods. This key is just to the right of one of the lake's docks. These last 2 are both immediately inside the woods to the left, coming from the lake entrances. They seem to count as the same key, so if you get one it counts as getting both. Potions are items which you can use to cure other counselors in cabins, or can be used like fairies in Zelda, i.e. they bring you back to life with a little bit of health if you have one in your inventory when you die. Like the keys, they appear in fixed locations, but there's a ton of them, so I'm not going to bother drawing them all out. Again though, items only appear if you're jumping around. If you're just walking, they won't come up. This might make you inclined to jump around all the time in search of potions, but knives also appear when you're jumping, and that is an amazing way to accidentally swap your super sexy torch for a butter knife. One last item, the sweater. You win this from Jason's mom only on day 2, and it reduces all damage to that counselor by half or more since the game rounds down. Some enemies, like the crow, don't even hurt you if you're wearing it. It's also rumored to keep Jason at bay, but I don't think that it does. It's not transferable though, so you'd better be giving this Technicolor Dream Sweater to somebody that you like. Jason's mom hangs out in the first cave on the left, and if you have anything from the machete or better, she only takes 10 hits to kill, and you can hit her for about 5 or 6 hits right at the start of the fight. While the sweater is not necessary, it adds a nice near guarantee to beating the game. Perhaps the biggest misconception about this game is that Jason's pattern is random. It's not. Here's how Jason moves. First, he always moves in a general counterclockwise route through the camp. If you meet him on the path, you can keep walking right, and if you're fast enough, you'll just keep running into him over and over. The only exception is the loop around the cave, where he goes the other way. Second, Jason stops at every cabin he passes by, even if no one's in it for him to attack, including the big cabins and the ones in the woods. Third, Jason will fight to the death if you lower him below 7 health points no matter where you're fighting him. This isn't super important, but if you're wondering why your fight's running long, that's going to be why. Lastly, The only random factor about Jason is whether he's going to take a certain path or not. This can make chasing him down a bit of a pain in the ass, because when you're coming to a fork in the road, Jason may take the path through the woods where you don't, and you'll lose him. It's this behavior that makes speedrunning the game extremely luck-based. Jason's counterclockwise routing is the most important part, because it can be used to kill Jason very quickly, as it's far better for you to fight Jason on the road than in a cabin, especially on day 2, and here's why. Jason actually only has 2 speeds inside a house, day 1 speed and day 3 speed. On day 1, you have time to dodge between each attack even if he does 2 in a row. On day 3, you have to dodge just before he swings the first time, and you'll dodge both attacks just in time to be able to hit him once before he comes around again. Day 2 is the worst time you could fight him indoors, because all he does is randomly switch between his day 1 and day 3 speeds, which can make it literally impossible for you to properly time dodging his hits. Jason does more damage to you indoors than on the road. Inside, he hits you for 8 points no matter what weapon he has, whereas outside you'll only take 7 if you touch Jason, or 5 if he hits you with something he throws. Jason also only takes 7 hits before he leaves the fight. Fighting Jason in a house means that you can only get a chance to hit him between 1 and 3 times per time he attacks you, which is not only time consuming, but is essentially risking going shot for shot. If you fight him on the road, you can just throw your weapon as fast as you can, and he will only have time to hit you once. While that one hit on you is virtually unavoidable, if you have a torch, you're going to beat Jason a lot faster than he's going to kill you. So now that we know the nuts and bolts of the game, let's put it together and show Jason how to have a bad time. Step 1, get a torch. Kill a couple of enemies until you get a lighter, then jump around until you get a knife and a key. The game won't let you pull off this trick without a knife in your inventory. Then, head to the big cabin on the north end of the lake. Go forward twice, turn right, and read the note. Head into the woods next to the cabin, head right, then go up on the first path you see twice. Leave the cabin, then go back in. Turn right and read the note. Head back to the lake by going right and taking the first path down, then right and down one more time. Go into the cabin, go forward twice, and turn around. Bam! Torch. Repeat with other counselors as you see fit. Step 2, find Jason. We already know how Jason works, and there are a few ways to take advantage of his mechanics. First, we know Jason's general path and direction. If you can find him on the road, you can force him to fight you over and over and mangle his life bar in seconds. Second, if he attacks a counselor in a house, you can force him outside by switching to that counselor and going out the front door. While your counselor may not have a torch on them, it forces Jason out of the house, keeps him moving, and means you don't have to fight him in the house, which to me is riskier. Lastly, you can abuse his roots by setting traps, like putting your torchbearer in a house like this one in the top left. Jason can't really avoid this house forever because it's on the main road and can't be skipped via the lake, so he'll have to stop in, and you can just switch to that counselor, step outside, and start the chase. All you need to do is find another counselor to kill time with while you wait for him to go there. Step 2.5, if you feel like it, grab the sweater off Jason's mom on day 2. It's nice insurance, plus there's a potion just inside to the right of the cave entrance. Repeat step 2 more times and make Jason sad. There you go. That's all you need to know to beat Friday the 13th for the NES quickly and without fail. I hope with this guide you can exorcise some childhood demons.